SBN, Sports Business Now. SBN is a division of Row 27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and reward system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com. SBN, Sports Business Now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to SBN Live. I'm Holly Koski, and SBN Live is a weekly wrap-up show where we talk about all of the latest news, best practices, and trends in the sports business industry. And as always, I am joined by Jason Cole of Row 27 and Max Huber of Row 27 as well. Hey guys, how are you?
Doing well, Holly. How about you?
I'm doing great. Max?
I'm doing fine. Your hair looks beautiful today.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
Yes.
Well, that was a great intro. Moving on now to some actual news. The MLB is using a new app called At the Ballpark App, where it will allow fans to upgrade their seats while at the game, which is kind of cool, where, you know, you're in the nosebleeds, all of a sudden the sun is hitting you and not really feeling that seat anymore. You can use this app to purchase another seat or upgrade. And it will be rolled out opening day in Arizona, Minnesota, Oakland, and Atlanta. And then another 12 clubs by the end of April. So do you think this will trigger significant revenue gains with the ability to allow people to upgrade?
Yeah, I do. Anytime you look at a baseball game, especially during a weekday or a day game, you end up seeing the stadium half full. Mm-hmm. And I know Yankee Stadium has struggled with a lot of the corporate season ticket holders they have during these time periods. They have all these empty seats behind home plate or along the third baseline. And that inventory, this program is going to allow them to go ahead and resell. So that means they'll be able to, in the fourth, fifth inning, they'll be able to sell this $1,000 seat for $95. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how they share that revenue back to that season ticket holder in the form of discounts and future purchases or whatever it might be. But I think it will be a pretty significant revenue source because there's a lot of unused inventory in baseball. It's probably not necessarily true in some of the other professional sports.
I know that I've been to plenty of games in the past, or having worked in minor league baseball, obviously different, but being at these games and like Jason said, it's hot out, you're sweaty, you want maybe a seat in the shade, mm-hmm. or you're just like, you know what, darn it, I don't want to sit in these high-up seats anymore. I want to get down close to the action.
Darn it.
Yeah, darn it, I want to get down there. Probably a little different language when you're saying that, but I feel like this could be a very opportunistic chance for teams to make a little more money during game day, especially get people with the emotion flowing in the game. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that seat that they move out of. I mean, technically, mm-hmm. that's now an open seat that possibly they could sell, but for walk-up. But logistically, how it'll work. But I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think it will be great, especially in the spring when weather's a little unpredictable and there's some seats that have overhangs and might not have been planning to be in a rainstorm for a little bit.
We're in Minnesota. It could be a snowstorm.
I know, like that too. So, kind of getting under the underhang if you need to and not really having to sneak down there. And they'll give you a ticket on your smartphone. So
I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting to me to see if there's like the, quote, Champions Club seats. I know that's what they're called at Target Field, but every newer stadium has those in place where you have like comp beverages, comp food available in this type of inventory piece, because that could be a heck of a deal.
Especially if concession lines are just crazy long.
Yeah, just be like, screw it, I'll spend $60 and go eat free food and have free beer.
Mm-hmm. They'll have to come up with a way to really convey that message to the fans so that a fan sitting there doesn't just have to look and see that there's this open seat available, maybe, whether it's a phone application or something, but so then they can actually see live what inventory is available and what they can upgrade to with pricing. Because like Jason said, if I'm sitting in a seat and I see that it's only $32 to get that last remaining Champions Club seat, mm-hmm. I might just do it because of the extra benefits that are tied into sitting there.
Yeah, this is this is going to be awesome.
Definitely. And it's interesting, I think, what kind of markets that they're starting this off in. Arizona, Minnesota's one of them, Oakland, and Atlanta. And Atlanta tested this last year. They were charging fans anywhere from $5 to $55 to swap seats, and the average upgrade was $16. So definitely sizable. And actually, the MLB also has another cool kind of initiative going on with spring training, with their Instagram contest, where spring break signals a lot of families and friends going to MLB games, spring training games, and they're running a contest this week where if you use the hashtag MLB spring training, I believe it is, you can win some cool stuff. Like I think one of the prizes is a $100 gift card to MLB Shop. And each day they've been having, a different assignment. So like day one was Instagram, your favorite food purchase at the ballpark, or, today is show us your best fun in the sun pictures from spring training. So kind of cool thing as well with the MLB. All right. Moving on to another ticketing topic, which goes now to the NBA. The Miami Heat are actually starting to sell 3-year season ticket plans, which is kind of, not really used in sports to have that long of a season ticket holder plan. This is not the first time they've done it. They've done it in 2006, right after their first NBA title. But could a season ticket plan like this be successful with other teams, or is it really limited to those that are stacked like the Heat?
I think it's beneficial to all teams. If it would work for any other teams, I'm not really sure. Being a former ticket salesperson, knowing that you're going to lock somebody up for 3 years, and then instead of becoming sales, it's about the relationship that you're working with them. I see that as a sales representative's best friend. Obviously, you might lose a little bit of revenue because you're going to cut them a deal, having them sign on for 3 years. But with the Heat, obviously, they've got the 3 big players. I could see this working. It kind of depends on the market and maybe some of the players that are involved. If you know that this player is going to be there for 3 or 4 years, barring a trade or something like that, I feel like it could be very successful for a number of different organizations.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It really depends on the market. If you have a history of increasing ticket prices incrementally, you kind of set the market where you can lock in a price point for 3 years. That would be a great feature. What I find really intriguing about this is that third year extends beyond the contracts of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. So they're really getting as many people as possible in the season ticket base locked up before they enter that next free agency period, because who knows what's going to happen. Granted, they can't pay a max contract, all 3 of those players. All 3 of them will have to choose to come back for a little bit less money in order to maintain the team.
Definitely. Maybe the average fan wouldn't really think about it like that, where, obviously it's in benefit to the fan to choose this, as they lock in a lot of prices, and they get obviously extra benefits as well. But they might be like a little mad at themselves if the big 3 aren't all there at the end of year 3.
Yeah, maybe, but if you get 2 NBA titles along the way.
Yeah, definitely.
And it also, that puts pressure on the Miami Heat that they have to keep their product relevant, not just on the court but off the court, make it an entertaining venue for all these people to go to, especially those corporate clients that, for them, a 3-year contract like this is a no-brainer, where they can reward their clients, reward their workers for 3 straight years going to the same event and put on a good show for them.
Right. And another team, the Washington Wizards, are doing another kind of ticketing innovation, I guess you could say, is they've actually moved their broadcasters up by the club level in the lower deck. They've moved them off the floor so they could create what they called an owner's box area, or an owner's club, excuse me. So it's 8 seats between the scorer's table and each bench. And those seats are selling for $1,500 a game as a part of a season ticket package. And, they get access to the owner's club and things like that. And the Wizards actually sold the entire allotment this year, which brought in $1 million for the Wizards just by kicking those broadcasters up a little bit. Granted, the broadcasters can't really see as well, and they've actually miscalled a game winner. They thought it went in, didn't go in.
Yeah.
So some pros and cons, but do you think this is a growing trend?
Well, I'd hope so. I mean, there's no need for a broadcaster to be sitting courtside to call the game. I mean, if you look at a lot of other sports, they're going to be sitting up in the press box to be calling the game and then looking at various camera angles to call it. Like, you don't see a baseball team sitting right behind, or baseball broadcaster sitting right behind home plate to go ahead and make a call. So makes all the sense in the world to try to monetize that space.
For these, these guys are probably a little bit old school, the announcers. So for them, that it's going to be the most difficult, like Jason said. But with that technology, it's going to be a lot easier. When I was at North Dakota and did some broadcasting, it was beneficial to be next to the court because we didn't have these monitors. But every NBA arena, every NHL, NFL, whatever, they're all going to be up top. If you look at the NFL, those broadcasters are already up in the press box anyway. They're not on the field. So it just takes that adaptation by those announcers, and they should be skilled enough and qualified enough that this shouldn't affect them. And the fact that you're going to bring in $1 million or more is a nice little chunk of change, and it makes sense.
When you were broadcasting hockey games, where were you sitting?
Up top.
Up top.
So it makes sense. You just have to be good. So obviously that's good.
I think you look for any opportunity to say hockey.
I have a bad accent on the word, don't I?
I think this is great as well, but the only issue I see with basketball is a lot of the times, they are reliant on the refs to come and tell them the call on, a foul or kind of certain procedure, whereas football, they have the signals and they're mic'd up, and so it's not as much of an issue. But a lot of the times analysts are talking to the refs on why they made a certain call that they did, especially if it's in question. So it's kind of interesting. I think.
You can always have somebody with the headsets relay that message
That's true.
to them. Have somebody down on the court who's maybe a stat keeper or something. And really, the analysts, they should know what the calls are. They should know a holding call. They should know a charging call. So it's going to test them out.
Right. What I'm saying is,
I get you
if
too.
it's flagrant or intentional, a lot of the times the refs go and clarify.
Yeah, you like that explanation. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But Philadelphia has also moved up their broadcasters as well. So this might be a new thing, and $1 million is pretty sizable to the bottom line. So staying with basketball, though, but we're hopping across the pond to Britain because there's talk of a British Basketball Association going on right now, which I think is a little interesting. They're trying to establish a new league, and for $5 million, an investor or a group could have a 40% stake in a team with the initial 8 franchises in UK cities. So while this is not being fully backed by the NBA, as far as financially is concerned, they do have the seal of approval from Stern, which is kind of interesting. Your takes
David Stern
on Britain being the next basketball giant? I know you have some opinions.
I don't know if it will ever happen that Britain's a basketball giant, but if you look at the NFL, they're trying to reach out into the UK, hosting games there all the time. So this could be an opportunity to kind of grow talent over there. It's the second biggest sport in the UK, but they've never been a traditional basketball powerhouse. The only time they've ever made the Olympics is when they've hosted, and the host nation automatically gets put in. So the basketball heritage that they have is not very strong. This could help build on that, but they've had basketball associations in the past that have failed. So how this succeeds, it'll be interesting.
Well, most startup leagues fail because you have one person that has a lot of money, a lot of purse strings that brings in a player, and they end up having the dominant team. Like they're paying 5 people $5 million, and everyone else is on a $500,000 a year salary. In this case, since it's a single entity operation, they really have control over that. They'll have the tag player like you do in the MLS, but the rosters are all have a hard salary cap, and you don't have an owner, regardless of how much money they want to spend, having the ability to really drastically alter the competitive balance. And I see it being successful. You look around Europe, and there's a lot of countries that have leagues that are successful with international players right now. And I'm sure Britain will be able to populate people that will go play basketball in an English-speaking country for a few $100,000. Whether they're able to draw the fan base in over a 5-year period of time will be something to see. I mean, you have to remember you're only talking about an entire country that's 20%, 18% the size population-wise of the U.S.
They are at least targeting the bigger markets with London, Liverpool, Belfast, all those. So I think like Jason said, they've got the right frame of mind with the certain salary caps and everything. So I hope it's successful. You see a lot of great players come out of Europe and come over to the NBA. So this, hopefully someday this could be a nice little feeder into the American market.
Right. They did say that, they would welcome American players, but they're focusing on British ones, which is interesting just because I don't think of Britain as a major pool of talent of basketball
they only
players.
qualified for the last Olympics because they're hosting it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think that might be it depends on what they're going for. If they're really going for that United British type of feel, then go for British players. But if you want talent, I would say really open it up to everybody else as well. So I don't know if there's a lot of dunking in Britain going on right now, but I could be mistaken. And finally, South by Southwest was this past weekend, and obviously a ton of apps and a ton of tech innovations have been talked about and released. And one that kind of caught my eye was the new Hater app. That's what it's called, Hater. And on Facebook, Instagram, you can only like something. You can only, really approve that you like it. And this does the exact opposite. It allows, it's a platform to allow you to vent your frustrations and everything like that and dislike something. And so what it is you post a picture onto the forum. It could be like waiting in line or traffic or anything like that, and then your followers can dislike it as well. I think this could apply to sports where, let's say you're at the ballpark one day and the bathroom line is crazy long. You post it on this platform and kind of air your grievances. But teams could really look at this platform to nip these problems in the bud. How can they use this to their advantage? How can teams and venues use this to their advantage?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Second time I'm using that analogy today.
It's a good one.
When you just want to be aware of your brand presence everywhere that's out there in these public forums, and if your ballpark or parking in your area is being featured on the Hater application, it's definitely a problem you want to address.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get out of hand where people let their emotions get the best of them and really kind of take advantage of a team and nitpick on things, find things that are, might just be a small little inconvenience and just completely blow it out of the water. But
that's what Twitter is for right now.
Right, exactly. Like you both mentioned, this gives teams an opportunity, having worked for some organizations. A lot of times your brain is a million miles an hour looking at different things and you might not notice something, but for somebody to bring this up and bring it to your attention, it's extremely beneficial. It's just trying to wade through the murk and the muck of everything that might come in and finding what actually is beneficial to fix.
Right, definitely. Well, Hater, something to keep an eye on. And thank you guys for some great content, as always. Have a great rest of the day. And we will see you next Tuesday on Sports Marketing Now and next Thursday at for SBN Live. You can find us at sportsbusinessnow.com. We'll see you next week.
SBN, Sports Business Now.